want to welcome our friends from Israel, the Shomron Delegation, who actually approached me about doing this, and this was all their idea. And this is Yossi Dagan, he's the head of the Shomron Regional Council. And we have David Ha'ivri, advisor to international affairs, and Chen Ben-Lulu, and they were all there. We also really have to thank Hayovel, and there's Carlton Taylor from Hayovel. These people go and they work with these horrific obstacles to peace. Don't these people look like obstacles to peace that live in Samaria? And they help work in the vineyards, and they're wonderful believing Christians. Lydia Taylor is amazing. And incredible. And I also want to thank my own staff, especially Deanne Heffernan, who works in who work for EMET. I want to thank the Jewish Jerusalem Washington Center, Meir Butchnick and Gideon Israel. The Heartland Israel Fund with Tom Garden, who himself is a very articulate representative, and I was honored to hear his speak yesterday. And our wonderful friends from the Embassy of Israel, of course, Reuven Azar Yaram Gamberg, the Minister of Public Diplomacy, Adi Lavi from the Congressional Affairs Department, Julia Ripken, the Director of Community Affairs, and Jack Strigler, the Director of Strategic Outreach. We have many members of Congress in here at different points today. Representative Juan Vargas, Representative Kevin Yoder, Representative Trent Franks, who I have to say is one of the most articulate and eloquent and wonderful, passionate spokespeople for the state of Israel, for the United States, and I'm honored to have him as a friend. Representative Doug Lamborn, Representative Louis Gomart, Representative Elliot Engel, Representative Eddie Johnson, Representative Jim Bridenstine, Representative Scott Perry, and Representative Mark Meadows from North Carolina was in here before, Representative Ken Buck, Representative Jean Green, Representative Blake Farenthold, Senator John Boozman was here, Representative Austin Scott, I see Representative Eliana Ross Lehitman was here, Representative Rothman is here. Did I leave anybody out? I hope not. I really hope not. And I want to say that the reason why we're gathered here today is because we understand that the enemies that attacked Israel first in 1948 tried to destroy Israel militarily. And then in 1987, they started the first Intifada, and first it was with rocks, and then it morphed into suicide belts, and then guns, and auto-rammings, and now knifings. And they're realizing neither of these tactics really destroyed Israel. So they've developed a new strategy, and that's BDS. And BDS is getting at the moral soft underbelly of many American Jews and dividing us. And they are understanding psychologically how they can beat us, but they can't. And I have to tell you, after 2,000 years, we Jews finally came back to our little tiny Jewish nation, and we ain't going nowhere. So, without any further ado, I want to introduce you to Yossi Dagan from the communities of the Shomron Samaria in Israel. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited to sit and talk with you in this house. This is not easy days for Israel state. I think also for United States. and it's not easy days for Shomron and Judea and Jerusalem, because terror attack, because the boycotts, because the delegitimation. But I want to tell you that we are strong. We are strong because we are believe in God. We are strong because we are love. We love our homeland, and we are strong because we are building day after day the heartland of our homeland. I think that the vineyards and the winery of Shomron are a big victory on the terror, big victory on the BDS, and big victory on radical Islamic, because we are building our country, and we are eat, and we are drink, and we are happy. And we are happy from the best of the best of the best wine. And I tell you one more point. Before 1946 years, then the Jewish communities in Jerusalem and Shomron destroyed by Titus. The Jeremiah prophesied that the Jewish people of Israel will going to go again to Israel and Shomron, and he said that we make wine in Shomron again. So after 2,000 years, we build Israel, we build Jerusalem, we build Shomron, and then we take wine from Shomron. We take a prophecy of Jeremiah in our hands. So I want to tell you, thank you very much about your strong support. Israel strong support us. Thank you very much, and we love you. Thank you. One more word. God bless Israel, and God bless United States of America, and God bless you.
Well, I'm probably a little bit awkward here at this point, because after her introduction, my best plan would be to run out the side of the stage so that you actually believe that some of what she said might have been true. But I am very grateful to be among all of these people. You took the wonderful effort to introduce everyone, so it makes it easy for me. But somebody forgot to introduce you, and I believe that Sarah Stern is the First Lady of the pro-Israel community in America. Kinder, more pro-Israel person in the world, I don't know him. So I'm so grateful that she does all that she does. And EMET, you know, is an organization that has always stood for the truth first and foremost. And they get along with everyone, but they speak the truth regardless of whether or not it's politically correct with anyone as well. They're always at the cutting edge. And so I have just such great respect for them. I had the privilege some years ago of going to Israel to give a speech on terrorism. And during that speech, I pointed out something that I would like to try to articulate tonight. Every time we hear of someone being killed in Israel by terrorists, it moves our soul very deeply, because sometimes our media here doesn't always carry it like it does other things. But the noble people of Israel somehow, in spite of the way that they always are subjected to a double standard by our own media, but the world in general, they always seem to get up and keep going. If any people in the history of the world had a right, or at least an excuse, to lay down and give up, after the Holocaust it would have been Israel. But instead of that, they did not let it kill them. They could have been consumed with hatred. But instead they dried their eyes, and they looked up again, and they began to build again. And I just think their story is among the most valiant stories in all of humanity. And of course, Melody Devine wrote half of my speech there. And her boss is not here, and I wanted to say something on his behalf. Doug Lamborn is one of the other caucus chairman of our pro-Israel caucus in Congress, and he's a great man. And he couldn't be here. He wanted to, but he truly couldn't be here tonight. So I guess these are difficult times, but Israel's been in difficult times before, and they've always prevailed. All of the evils that they face, those people are gone. Whether they're Nazis or whatever they might be, they're gone. And Israel remains. And I have every conviction that Israel will continue to go forward. And we have great elections coming up, and I pray the best thing happens there, because it is of profound significance. But there are those of us in the Congress that no matter what, Yossi, we will continue to hold Judea and Samaria as Shomron. We will continue to do everything that we possibly can to fight for Israel. We'll continue to make sure that you never feel alone in this world, that there is no space between America and Israel, that the God that made you and that made us is the God that is the same God, and that we have every common principle to live by together. And we're going to make sure that we are going to occupy till He comes. And by the grace of God, that His peace will shine down on the streets of Jerusalem forever. And that's our commitment to you. So thank you.
Would like to say a few words.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you very much. Thank you, Yossi, and welcome to our brothers and sisters from Shomron. I want to start with a story. When I served in Egypt for 4 years, and I had a good friend there, an Israeli businessman, that very courageous guy that did a lot of business in Egypt, and despite all the difficulty, and he used to start each meeting thanking the Egyptian businessman for the Arab boycott. Thanking them for the Arab boycott. And they were puzzled. How come you want to thank them for the Arab boycott? They said, look, if you wouldn't have boycotted us in '46, probably we would stay in an agrarian country selling foodstuffs to Egypt. But we had to prevail. We had to become an industrial country and export our products to Europe and to the United States and to the advanced economy. So we became an advanced economy. Thanks to you. So I'm not going to thank the BDS movement, but I want to tell you that these people that are demonizing us and they are not differentiating between actually Israelis wherever they live, because they don't recognize the right of self-determination of the Jewish people, they have energized us. Why? Because in the same campuses that they are doing their activity, we have managed to do more academic cooperation with our American friends and more scientific advance. And in the states that have been acting, these states are now legislating against BDS. So we are a nation of entrepreneurs, just like the American nation, and we are people that believe in construction, not in destruction. So they are only going to encourage us to build more. And the only way, some people are saying that settlements are an obstacle for peace. But the only chance that we have to have peace is whether our neighbors are going to accept us living in the land of Israel, because it's our right.
That's right.
And they are going to treat us just as we treat our non-Jewish citizens in Israel, more than 2 million.
Yeah.
People sometimes don't realize that we in Israel have more than 2 million Jews that exercise the rights and have equal rights in front of the law. And that's the reason why we have to continue to be stubborn, to implement our right, and to allow to have a Jewish population in all parts of our ancestral homelands. And when our neighbors accept that, that's the day we're going to have peace. So I want to thank you very much for the invitation, and we'll do whatever we can to support our communities, especially the communities that are under stress. Thank you very much.
I'm the guy from the other side. I grew up for Hamas founding family, hatred, anti-Semitism, and the destruction of Israel was the center of their life. BDS is not a new movement. I've actually been studying that and studying the BDS and looking at it for quite a while now, all the experts have concluded that the path it follows, it leads to the same conclusion, and the annihilation of Israel and then probably another Holocaust, God forbid. It's such an awful thing. Okay, so it's a wine reception. My slam is both accent and wine induced. It's such an awful thing to imagine that people in 2016 still try, not just hope. They are trying. They are pursuing it systematically. The annihilation of the state of Israel. We, the free world, have determined that, have agreed, and we believe it stands with our moral that the state of Israel has the right to self-determination. Yeah. Everything that the BDS movement have done so far does not play to anyone's benefit, neither the Israelis nor the Palestinians. And I only did the Palestinian side because of Sarah. She insisted on me doing that research. I spoke about it yesterday, and it's utterly destructive. So right now, from the building of the most powerful men and women on earth, I guess the only thing we could do is to stand with Israel, hold our belief, hold our morals, and do all we could to protect it, both economically, politically, and educate people about it. It is you, congressmen and senators in here, who actually hold the power. The people have elected you, and they trust you. It's your job, and I fully believe that each one of you have actually done their due diligence and is doing their job to the best of their ability. And I know all the trouble that you face, but it is your job to make sure that we, our nation, remain standing with Israel. And for that, I thank you.
Any members of Congress that might want to say a few words?
My name is Gene Green, and I'm from Texas. I have a district in Houston, and my wife and I have been to Israel. I've lost count of the times. We've been with AIPAC, HAC, Congressional trips. In fact, my joke in Houston is that, Texas is Texas. And we will defend Israel even if we have to take our own firearms. We've had the opportunity. My relationship with the Jewish community in Houston goes back many years, even before I ran for office. And I was, when I decided to run for Congress, I was a state legislator in Texas, and I called Joe Samuels, who was the publisher of our Jewish Herald Voice, who I felt like adopted me 20 years before that. And I said, Joe, I'm going to run for Congress instead of serving in the legislature. He said, Gene, we adopted you. We obviously want to endorse you. So Joe passed away, and I was at his funeral. But anyway, but the support for Israel, I've had the opportunity to go to literally everywhere in Israel. My wife and I go on our own because the trips you take, they choreograph you so too much. They would never let us go to the Israeli Museum in Jerusalem. They would never let members of Congress loose in there. They'd never find us. So we would go and do that. The last trip we did, we actually hired a guide and went out to the new national park where supposedly Herod's buried. Because again, we're Methodist, but we also know where our background is. And I remind my Christians in Houston that Jesus was a very observant Jew. And that's where we are today. And so the support for Israel, like I said, everything I can do, we will help Israel to continue to be independent. But let me say one thing, because in Texas we like to brag. My joke I've heard for most of my life is that if Moses, when he left Egypt, if he had turned right, they would have had Saudi Arabia, the oil and the gas. Well, the Lord works in mysterious ways, because there's a Texas company named Noble that's in our district in Houston who actually discovered natural gas and maybe oil if we can work it right. Although, Joe, Noble complained to me, as soon as they found the natural gas, the Knesset wanted to raise their taxes.
Yep.
And I said, well, welcome to Congress, that's what they So, but Israel can be independent with natural gas and hopefully oil, and because of a Texas company, and the Lord does work in mysterious ways.
Yes.
So, thank you for